Good morning students. Today's class is about the charts. Now in the Viva table you have to given some charts. You have to write the clinical diagnosis or to say the clinical diagnosis, and thereafter you have to face the Viva about that clinical chart. Now today's chart is, you can see here a problem is written, that is here a 56 years old patient was brought to the hospital with complaining of chest pain radiating to the left arm. Following are the laboratory findings: serum SGOT 128 unit per liter, serum SGPT 40 unit per liter, LDH1 700 unit per liter, and CKMB 900 unit per liter. Now what is your diagnosis? Now my diagnosis for this patient is AMI, acute myocardial infarction. Now before going to the diagnosis, you must learn what are the reference value of these enzymes. Now the reference value is the new term, newly used term. There is the obsolete term is the normal value. You shouldn't say normal value, you have to say the reference value. Now serum AST level is, in case of male, less than 35 unit per liter, and in female 31 unit per liter. But in the case you have seen that 128 unit per liter in that case, so it is definitely high. Now the serum SGPT level is less than 45 unit per liter is normal. So here the SGPT level is absolutely normal. And in case of serum CKMB, 5 to 25 unit per liter, and it is again raised in this condition of the patient. And in case of serum LDH, total value is 120 to 200 unit per liter. That is total value, cumulative sum of all the isoenzymes of the LDH. But in case of this patient, LDH1 is much higher than the total value. So LDH1 is definitely high. Now coming to the next slide. Here you will be asked in the next question, that is, why did you consider this diagnosis, or the points favoring your diagnosis. First point is more than 50 years of age. Although it can occur at any age, but acute myocardial infarction is most common after 50 years of age. Number 2 point is the characteristic chest pain. It is radiating to the left arm. From your anatomical knowledge, you know that the chest pain can be radiated to the left arm, back, abdomen, right chest, and many other areas. So this chest pain radiating to the left arm, that is the most common site of radiation of the chest pain, suggestive of the cardiac origin. Now the number 3 point is elevated level of serum SGOT. This is again suggestive of cardiac or liver pathology. Both condition you can expect high serum SGOT level, but the normal level of SGPT negates the liver pathology. So normal SGPT, high SGOT, suggestive of cardiac pathology. Now 5th point, elevated level of serum CKMB. This is again strongly suggestive of the acute myocardial infarction. And lastly, the elevated level of LDH1, again strongly suggestive of cardiac origin. Now the next slide, that is the something related to AMI. What is acute myocardial infarction or AMI? Some theoretical points will be asked later. Now this is, what is the definition of AMI? Here this is a condition when the death of cardiac myocytes occur due to an imbalance between myocardial oxygen demand and supply. That is, supply is less but oxygen demand is high. Now where from the myocardium gets oxygen? Through blood, and this blood are flowing through the coronary arteries. So if there are any partial or complete obstruction of the coronary arteries, there will be partial or complete obstruction of the blood supply also, and there will be less blood supply. For this reason there will be oxygen demand and supply imbalance. This leads to the death of cardiac myocyte, and this is the AMI. So in other words, you can say when there is death of cardiac myocytes due to the partial or complete obstruction of the blood supply through the coronary arteries is called the AMI. Now the next slide, the diagnosis of AMI, which is the complete picture of diagnosis of AMI. First point is the symptom. Next point is sign. You must learn what is symptom and what is sign. Symptom is what patient complain to you. Patient will complain to you that shortness of breath, that is medically called dyspnea. Patient will complain to you the chest pain with or without radiation. Patient will say sweating, vomiting. This is symptoms. And now the sign, what doctors elicits. You have to elicit this. What is the point most important here? That is rapid pulse or tachycardia. This is most important sign, and this is the first sign that is present in case of AMI. And what are the first symptom? That is the dyspnea is the first symptom of the diagnosis of AMI. Now coming next to the blood picture. Here the elevated level of AST, CKMB, LDH, myoglobin and cardiac troponin T and cardiac troponin I. These are the enzymes and proteins that are elevated here. Now AST, CKMB and LDH, these are the enzymes, and the myoglobin and cardiac troponin T and I, these are the proteins. You all know this. Now the next point is the ECG. Again from your physiology classes you well versed with this. The ST segment elevation, T wave inversion, new pathological Q wave and LBBB, that is left bundle branch block. These are suggestive of AMI. Now the next point is echocardiogram. The finding is definitely a honors question. You need not remember it, but if you can say, then it's a extra advantage. Now what is the echocardiographical finding? This is new onset of regional wall motion abnormality. It's a technical term you will later learn in your final year medicine classes. Now coming to the next slide. This is probably the most important slide of this chart. This is the sequence of elevation of blood biomarkers of AMI. First is myoglobin. This is again expected to be elevated within 1 hour. Next will be cardiac troponin. Next will be CKMB, AST and lastly LDH1. Now learn by heart this chart. These are the enzymes or proteins, initiation of rise, peak and return to the baseline. Now the CKMB, initiation of rise is 2 to 4 hours, peak at 24 hours, return to the baseline is 2 to 3 days. AST within 12 hours, peak at 48 hours, return to the baseline 4 to 5 days. And in case of LDH1, initiation of rise within 24 hours, peak at 3 to 6 days and return to the baseline 2 weeks. And cardiac troponin T and I, within 2 to 4 hours the level will be elevated, peak at 48 hours and return to the baseline 7 to 10 days after. Now next, the next slide is about the individual enzymes, starting first from the SGOT or AST. Now you all know this from your clinical enzymology classes. I am giving just a brief idea. The AST is often comes as the short note in your theory exams. Then you have to write under these points. First of point will be the chemistry. Here you have to mention the structure a little bit, and most important in this case the reaction catalyzed by the enzyme. Here you all know which reaction is catalyzed by it from your clinical enzymology classes as well as the protein metabolism classes. I am not going through the details. Next point is the source. AST is secreted by cardiac myocytes, hepatocytes, RBC, skeletal muscle and kidney. These are the cardinal sites. There may be some other sites also, but you have to mention these cardinal sites which I am mentioning in this chart. Next is the reference value. Next point will be the blood level elevated in which conditions. In case of AST, the conditions are AMI, viral hepatitis, cirrhosis of liver and liver necrosis. These are the main points. You may add to it, but don't remember to mention these 4 points. Now the method of assay, that is IFCC recommended method at 37 degree centigrade. The IFCC full form is International Federation of Clinical Chemistry. This method, all the methods actually have to accredited by this body. So this is IFCC method at 37 degrees centigrade temperature. You have to mention it because all the enzymes mentioned here are physiologically active enzymes and they are best assayed at the physiological temperature, that is 37 degrees centigrade. Next, the next slide is about CKMB. Now the chemistry. The most important thing in case of CK enzyme is it is dimeric form. It has 2 dimer M and B and it has 3 isoforms. These 3 isoforms are cytosolic, mitochondrial and macromolecular. Don't confuse it with CK1, 2 or 3. The main isoforms are cytosolic, mitochondrial as well as the macromolecular form. The cytosolic form, as the name implies, that it is expected to be present in the cytosol. The mitochondrial form is in the mitochondria, and the macromolecular form are expected to be freely roam through the blood in combination with the other protein like immunoglobulin. So it is a big molecule, and so it is called macromolecular CK. Now the cytosolic CK is again divided into 3 isoforms. These are CK1, CK2 and CK3, or CKBB, CKMB, that is CK2, and CK3, that is CKMM. As the name implies that the CK1 or the CKBB, B for brain and bladder, it is chiefly secreted by brain, prostate, GIT, that is gastrointestinal tract, lung, uterus and bladder. And CK2, that is the point here in case of AMI, that is CKMB, it is chiefly secreted from the heart. And CK3, that is MM, it has homodimer of 2 subunits, that is again secreted from the muscle as well as heart, mainly through the muscle. Now the next point is the reaction catalyzed in the body. This is again I am written here because it is not clearly written in other books, that is creatine plus ATP is equal to ATP. It is again converted into creatine phosphate and ADP. This creatine phosphate, you all know that the proteins, the energy store of our muscle. Now the blood levels elevated in which conditions? Injury, inflammation, necrosis of cardiac myocytes, muscles and drugs, and physiologically during the childbirth. You have to mention these points first. You can add to this, but don't forget these points. Special roles in AMI. Now CKMB can be used for diagnosis of AMI. Diagnosis of re-AMI. What is re-AMI? A AMI patient comes to you, you are treating this patient in the CCU, but after 2 to 3 days, this patient can again suffer of second attack of AMI, which is more devastating than the first one. So you have to diagnose this earliest. This is re-AMI, most often found after 2 to 3 days. And coming to the 7th slide, from the chart you can see that after 2 to 3 days, CKMB is only parameter which is expected to be at the baseline. So if CKMB is again raised in some condition in a CCU patient, then you can say that this patient is suffering from another attack of the AMI. So it is very important in case of diagnosis of re-AMI. Now coming back to the CKMB slide. Now last point is diagnosis of AMI in a renal failure patient. Remember, in renal failure patient, the kidney is defective. So the patient is unable to excrete the normal body proteins which are expected to be excreted by a healthy kidney, but here diseased kidney. So many parameters are expected to be elevated in the blood because they cannot be washed away by the kidney. So the all other parameters that are mentioned in that chart of diagnosis of AMI are expected to be elevated, but CKMB is the last point which are expected to be elevated in case of renal failure. So in a renal failure patient, if you see the all other parameters are raised, you cannot say surely about the AMI diagnosis, but if CKMB is high, you can say that this patient is suffering from AMI. Now the method of assay, again IFCC method at 37 degrees centigrade. Coming to the next slide, that is LDH. Now a little bit of about the chemistry. It is a pentameric, you all know. It is cytoplasmic enzyme, and most important thing that are not clearly written in your books, that is it has 8 isoforms, LDH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and LDHX and macro LDH. Macro LDH just like macro CK, that is a LDH molecule combined with the IgG molecule and or other protein, and that is present in the blood as a big molecule, so it is macromolecular LDH, and the others are LDH 1 to 6 and LDHX, total 8 isoforms. Now the reaction catalyzed in the body, I am not telling you. Pyruvate lactate conversion, you can say from your chemistry from your previous classes. Now going to the source. Almost every organ of our body can secrete LDH, but here the notable two is LDH1 and LDH2. LDH1 is chiefly secreted by heart to a lesser amount, RBC and kidney, and LDH2 chiefly secreted by the liver and skeletal muscles. So in case of AMI, you can find that LDH1 is more in blood than LDH2. But in normal physiology, LDH2 is always higher than LDH1. But this not occurs in the AMI. AMI, you can see flipped pattern of AMI. What is flipped pattern? That is LDH1 is more than the LDH2. This is the most important point, flipped pattern of LDH in AMI. Other points are hepatitis, megaloblastic anemia, germ cell tumor. Here also you can find LDH high, and high LDH has an important prognostic value in cases of leukemia, lymphoma, melanoma, testicular tumors and lung carcinoma. Coming to the next slide, that is cardiac troponin. Again a little bit of chemistry, you all know this from your physiology classes, but I am repeating it. It's a specific protein of myocytes located primarily in the myofibril, 94 to 97%, and to a very lesser extent in the cardiac myocyte cytoplasm. It has 3 subunits. There are 3 subunits of troponin, forms a complex that regulates the interaction of actin and myosin in the muscles. Which are the 3 troponin subunits? These are troponin C, T and I. C is the calcium binding component, T is the tropomyosin binding component, and I is the inhibitory component. Now, cardiac troponin, this is the troponin that is present in the cardiac muscle. So, I am calling it cardiac troponin. Cardiac troponin T and I has different gene and some different amino acid sequences than their skeletal muscle counterparts. That is, the skeletal muscle troponin has different gene and cardiac troponin has different gene, as well as cardiac troponin T and I has a little bit of amino acid sequence differences than their skeletal muscle counterparts. Now, why cardiac troponin C is not measured in AMI? Because cardiac troponin C is totally similar with the slow twitch skeletal muscle, but cardiac troponin T and I is different. Now the method of assay. Now cardiac troponin can be quantified or qualified. The quantitative measurement method is radioimmunoassay and ELISA. But in our country, most widely used method is qualitative method, and that is the bedside method or POCT, point of care testing method. Here actually a plastic strip is given to you in which you have to put some amount of whole blood, and thereafter you have to read the finding. I will later see you the slide. Now coming to the next slide, cardiac troponin, utility of measurement. First of all, diagnosis of AMI, you all know by this time, you all know that the diagnosis of AMI, it is important. And next point is diagnosis of re-AMI. I have said you that the diagnosis of re-AMI is best done by the CKMB method. But if you are asked, say, another method of diagnosis of re-AMI, it will be the quantitative measurement of the cardiac troponin. Because cardiac troponin, coming to the slide number 7, you can see that cardiac troponin is peak at 48 hours. After that, it will coming down near the baseline, and actually it touches the baseline within 7 to 10 days. But after 2 to 3 days, that is the most possible time of the re-AMI, if another elevation of cardiac troponin you can find by the blood test, then you can say that there may be another AMI. Now, I am clear, I hope. And now the next point is the elevated C troponin or the cardiac troponin in conditions other than AMI. That is chronic heart failure, cardiomyopathy, hypertension, inflammatory heart disease, pulmonary embolism. These are all cases of cardiac myocyte injury or death. Other 2 points are renal failure on dialysis and diabetes. In both cases, renal failure on diabetes and diabetes, the kidney is defective. For this reason, there is defective filtration of the cardiac troponin, so the cardiac troponin is accumulating in the body and it is falsely elevated in the blood. Now, why the cardiac troponin I assay is better than cardiac troponin T? Now, I am so far mentioning that cardiac troponin T and I, T and I. Now, you have one question that which one is better, cardiac troponin T or cardiac troponin I? Actually, cardiac troponin I is always better than the cardiac troponin T. Why? Because first point is, you all know that cardiac troponin T and I both have separate gene and separate amino acid sequences than their skeletal muscle counterparts. But cardiac troponin I has another additional post-translational modification than the skeletal muscle counterparts. For this reason, it is much more prominently identified, which makes it more cardiac specific. Number 2 point is, cardiac troponin I is not expressed under any circumstances, that is in the normal, regenerating or diseased skeletal muscle. Actually, what happens in your later training in the MBBS, you may find that the diseased organ may express some atypical proteins, but under any circumstances, normal or regenerating or diseased skeletal muscle cannot express cardiac troponin I fraction. So, it is exclusively cardiac origin specific. And the number 3 point is, only one isoform for this protein is identified, so there is no diagnostic difficulty. Whenever you have to make an assay of the parameter, if it has many isoforms, then there will be difficulty for designing an assay. But it has only one isoform, so there is less difficulty for designing an assay method. So it is easily assayed. Now, coming to the next. Now, in the next slide, you can see the TROP-T POCT kit, that is the cardiac troponin point of care testing kit. It's a plastic slide. You can see that there is a red colored marking. Here you have to put some whole blood, actually 3 to 4 drops of whole blood you have to put, and thereafter there is a window on the left side of it. If there is only single marking, then it is negative. If there is 2 lines seen, then it is positive. In the next slide, you can see a actual test. Here in the first line, 2 lines, so it is positive, and in the second slide it is only 1 line, so it is negative. What is the positive? Positive means the cardiac troponin T level is higher than the normal, and negative means the cardiac troponin T value is lesser than the reference value. This is the diagnostic kit for AMI most widely used. Now coming to the next slide. It is the summation slide. Which are the questions to be asked in your Viva exams? That is, what is your diagnosis? Points favoring diagnosis. What are the reference values of the parameters? What is AMI? Some points about clinical enzymology, about the individual enzymes. Next, which is the best parameter or which is the earliest parameter for the diagnosis of AMI? How you can diagnose a second attack of AMI in a CCU patient? After this, how to diagnose AMI in a renal failure patient? And last, which one is better, cardiac troponin T or I? And there will be a few more. Now, that's the last slide. Thank you for your attention.